Welcome back, everybody. I know it's been a little bit. Haven't really finished a lot, but decided I would try fiberglassing and closing off one of the control surface ends. So I've got, you see there's some West Systems Epoxy 105 hardener, some cups, those pumps. Those pumps are key. There's some flox. The pumps allow you to accurately mix the amounts. So this is my first time trying this. That's some PVC foam. All of this I think I got from Aircraft Spruce. Actually, no, the epoxy was cheaper off of Amazon, believe it or not. I got this whole technique from, I think it was Stu's Aircraft Factory channel. Really good channel. He's got some, doesn't have a whole lot of videos, but the ones he's got some really great how-tos. And I liked his method of closing off the control ends. So this is what I plan to do on all of them. Hopefully it doesn't add too much weight. I meant to actually weigh that trim tab before I did this just to see what it does add, but I forgot. So this is the smallest end, and I figured this would be a good place to start. So what you do is you get that foam, you cut it, and I'm using a rasp there to shape it, and you want it to sit down in there, and you want to have a gap all the way around it so that when you put the resin and flox mixture in, it's got some room to fill the gap and seal that foam off and kind of glue it in place. The foam is super easy to shape, and none of this was terribly expensive. I probably have enough here to do all of the control surfaces on the tail. I don't know if I'm going to do them now or if I'm going to wait until later on after it's mounted. A little concerned about balancing the lead weights and having access to it, but we'll see. So for now, it's, just sanding, shaping. The one thing I think I did wrong, I was pretty happy with the fit there, was you need to make sure that the foam is below the edge of the metal so that you have room to build up with the fiberglass, or the resin and flox mixture, and then ultimately resin and microballoons. So there I'm making a divot in it to make sure I've got room to fill it up and seal it. The downside, especially to the trim tab here, is this is the end that was supposed to be folded over. I made a rib to go in there, and I trimmed the skin. Well, when I trimmed the skin on it and the elevator, the trailing edges kind of taper away from each other a little bit. So I'm trying to use this method also to kind of build that back up so I end up with nice straight edges parallel to each other. Also, you see I'm mixing it up now. Lesson learned, mix the resin first, then start adding flox until you get the consistency you want. I did it the other way around, had to add more resin, which this is all way too much resin for that little tiny part, but this was me trying it out for the first time. So probably later today, I'm going to work on the other end of that, as well as the matching end on the elevator, and I'll do those both at the same time so I'm not wasting resin. So you mix that flox up with the resin. You want to get it to the consistency of like toothpaste or thick pancake batter kind of. You want it to form some peaks, and then you're going to take it, spread it down in the opening, get everything well covered, and just because I want to make sure the foam is absolutely sealed off so nothing can get absorbed into it, I'm just buttering the back end of it there. Push it down in there, and then take the rest of the flox mixture and work it down in between the skin and the foam to make sure it's sealed all the way around. And then I tried to level it off as best I could because I wasn't sure how bad this would be to sand later on. I used that tape on the edge to just keep from making as big of a mess as I could, which it seemed to work pretty well. I got a little bit on the skin. There's a close-up of what it kind of looks like now that it's filled in. And for whatever reason, I did not record the next step, which is basically the same thing over again, but now it's mixing resin with microballoons. So on the next one, I'll try and actually get a video of that, but there is some finished shots at the end. So that's what it looks like with the flox dried after the first day. I'm using that sanding block to square it all off and sand it down, knowing I need to build it back up with the micro. So lots of sanding and fiddling. Getting it off of the edge of the skin was a little tedious, but not terribly bad. And now I'm just kind of trying to shape the areas. That trailing edge is what needs to be built up because that's where it kind of curved in. So the part you're going to end up missing, like I said, is after this was done, I mixed up the microballoons with the resin and then went and did it again, let it cure for another day, came back, sanded it this morning, and then shot it with some primer. It's not perfect. It's got some pinholes. It needs a little more build-up here and there, but for the first go, I was pretty happy with it. And it's something I can work on later on before the plane actually gets to paint. But I think the process came out really well. One thing I did figure out really quick, though, I've got a 3M respirator now, and I won't touch those microballoons without wearing it, because as soon as those things even remotely become airborne, they just waft around in the air forever, and you definitely don't want to be breathing that in. So now I'm just taking it over to the elevator, which is on the shelf, and I'm checking to see if I filled that gap in as much as I wanted to. And then the part you miss is me doing the micro, but here's what it looks like as of this morning. The micro is done and sanded, all primed up, and a nice closed off control surface. Looks real smooth and clean. I like it. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll try and do another one when I do the others, and I'll see you on the next one.